Alright, boys, there you have it. Hey, never say I ain't looked out for y'all, right? 8 ruthless, I'd say 8 lessons, right, that make you ruthlessly dangerous. These are 8 tools right here, right? By the Machiavellian, what you call it, library of secrets. You know, I know it's an AI generating information kind of channel, but hey, it might make sense. Stick around, right?
Imagination that shifted realities till paradigms shift into shades you ain't never seen. Was once excited for all this, now I ain't trying to be seen forever. Cause this mind is straight chatter, but I can barely say something. Feel like shit don't matter, so beware the fun cutting. It's volumes of the mind. Imagination that shifted realities.
Yeah. Yo, just quick disclaimer before we get into anything further. Yo, I do have to apologize for, you know, this trash of an audio. You know what I'm saying? In terms of my microphone. Yeah. For the past couple of months, I've been giving y'all content that has just been stained, right, by the kind of decision that I've had to make in like keeping up with this mic. But it you know, you have to start somewhere, right? I know y'all know about starting somewhere. Hello, do your homework on starting somewhere, right? So it's like I am working on that, right? It is actually in process. You know what I mean? We shall have better microphone audio, yes. So yeah, looking forward to that one. But anyway, yeah, Susie freestyle, yo. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it is for the background thingy, background music, right? Anyway, as we have stated in the title, man, 8 ruthless lessons. 8 ruthless lessons. Hold on. Make sure y'all can see that. 8 ruthless lessons that make you dangerously smart. Know what I mean? Dark psychology coded. I mean, first things first, I know y'all have heard, you know, narratives around not be like, actually more like you being more of the people pleaser is the more you kind of lose the plot of control in your own life. I'm not saying never be a people pleaser, never have like pleasant aspects about you in terms of your personality, but it's kind of like when you put that on overdrive and forget the fact that, yo, sometimes you do have to be ruthless, sometimes you do gotta be heartless. I don't know, let's hear him out.
Plays fair. No matter how honest you are, the world never plays fair.
Ooh, yeah.
No matter how honest you are, someone will betray you. No matter how skilled you become, someone less qualified will take your spot.
Seriously?
That's reality. But those who understand this reality, they survive. And those who survive, they rule. This is a power you can't see, but everyone feels it. This is dark intelligence. Dark intelligence is born when people get betrayed, humiliated, and defeated. Others break down, but you build strength from that pain. It's the kind of intelligence that listens, watches, stays quiet, and strikes at the perfect moment. While others argue, you gather information. While they get angry, you calculate. While they drown in emotions, you plan the future.
You have to.
Most people play checkers. You're about to learn how to play chess.
Yo, just quick question. What's this like? Okay, I know a whole lot of shit like, you know, gets played out, the whole terminology and you know, things being old and outdated and shit like that, but ain't nothing as outdated as the saying that goes, I'm not playing checkers, I'm playing chess. It's like, yeah, I get the logic of like, yeah, I'm playing, you know, a complicated game at this life thing. My moves are complicated. I'm a complicated. It's like, bro, who? You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's just better to be a simple guy. Nah, I know this is an unpopular opinion, but like, just be. I feel like, I know some of y'all might have heard simplicity is the what? Is the highest form of sophistication, something like that. Simplicity, bro. It's in being simple. And yeah, like I'm not saying now, okay, no, playing checkers is better. But maybe, you know, maybe I'm playing Ludo. Shit. Maybe I'm playing Ludo. It's more interesting, it's fun, you know what I'm saying? More people can get involved, you know what I mean? Because again, you don't live alone on this earth, man. No one man is an island, so they say, right? Something like that. So I don't know, man. I just feel like that whole saying is played out. That statement, yo, I'm not playing checkers, I'm playing chess. Yeah, and then what, bro? Like, man, that shit is old. I'm sorry.
But before we dive deep, let me be crystal clear.
Do that.
This knowledge is for protection, not destruction.
Right.
Use it to defend yourself, not to hurt innocent people.
Let's do it.
The goal is to understand the game, not to become the villain. Today, you'll discover the 8 psychological traits that separate survivors from victims, leaders from followers, winners from losers. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments.
Why?
I choose to be strategically intelligent, not emotionally reactive.
Yeah, all that.
Now let's unlock the secrets that powerful people don't want you to know.
What's that?
Number 1, calculated opacity. You're never completely clear about your intentions. You show only what's necessary. When people know half the story, they fill in the blanks with their imagination. And that imagination, it controls them. Machiavelli once said,
Why?
everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Think about the most intriguing.
Oh, that whole thing where it's like living in your mind rent-free, right? You're not me, yet I'm living in there like rent-free type shit. So the mystery of I don't know, whatever intrigues you about me, you know what I'm saying, just keeps you in the but that's just only for like minds that, you know, constantly want to be nosy, want to be like knowing what's going on in people's lives, right? Like, would you want to do that? Yeah, but I get it. There are those type of people. They exist, right?
People you know. They never tell you everything. They leave gaps in their stories.
Right.
They answer questions with questions. They smile when you expect them to explain. This isn't about lying. This is about strategic communication. Here's what happens in most conversations.
What's that?
Someone asks you a question and you feel obligated to give them a complete answer. You explain your motivations, your fears, your plans. You think you're being honest and building trust, but you're actually giving away your power. Smart people understand that mystery creates influence. When you don't reveal everything, people become curious. Curiosity leads to interest. Interest leads to respect, and respect leads to influence. Let's say someone asks about your weekend plans. Most people say, "Oh, I'm just staying home, maybe watching some movies." That's complete transparency, but it's also completely forgettable. Instead, you could say, "I have something important to take care of." Then change the subject. Notice the difference? The first answer makes you predictable. The second answer makes you interesting. This doesn't mean being rude or secretive about everything. It means being selective about what you share and when you share it. The most successful people in any field master this principle. They reveal just enough to keep people engaged, but never enough to lose their advantage. Your information is your currency. Don't spend it all at once. When you practice calculated opacity, people start paying more attention to what you say because they know you don't say everything. Your words carry more weight because they're rare. Remember, the goal isn't to be mysterious for the sake of being mysterious. The goal is to maintain control over your narrative and your relationships.
Now again, let's be straight with one another, ladies and gentlemen, right? Let's be straight with one another. Like, yes, this video is for those that want to gain control over, you know, people within their relationships, but remind yourself, like, gaining control over people, what does that say about you, right? We have to start there. Look, man, look, I don't mean to be devil's advocate like unnecessarily. Hey, if you know you're trying to scratch that kind of itch, yo, or you trying to like see what it's like, or you know you're damaged and you're traumatized in like ways that fuck it, they're irreversible at this point. Let's just like, man, fuck it, bro, let's just ride this till the wheels fall off. We damaged anyways, you know what I'm saying? I'm already addicted to controlling motherfuckers anyways. I want to control somebody, people, blah blah, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not saying I condone the perpetuation of it, let's get that straight, but you know what I'm saying, we here, you know what I'm saying? So if you trying to scratch that itch, it's like, cool, you have to start at a point where it's like, what does that say about you? It, like, from the outside looking in, from somebody else's perspective, it might feel like heavy insecurity, bro. Let's face it, heavy insecurity, heavy NPD vibes, narcissistic personality disorder vibes, and we all know the notions and the reputation that comes with, like, you know, having that kind of having that kind of image, like a dickhead, you know what I'm saying? Like you like a dickhead, you like an asshole, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if you can carry that kind of mask, or I don't know, helmet, I almost said crown, it's yeah, let's not get on our high horse, right? It's not a crown, you know what I'm saying? But like, if you can bear that burden, bro, like, go ahead. If you can bear the burden of, you know, being seen as an asshole.
Number 2, adaptive persona. You're not the same person with everyone.
Yep.
You adjust your personality based on who you're talking to.
How you know that?
People think they know you, but they only know one version of you. Machiavelli once said, "A prince ought to take care that he never lets anything slip from his lips that is not replete with the 5 qualities mentioned above, that he may appear to him who sees and hears him altogether merciful, faithful, humane, upright, and religious."
Didn't understand that.
This isn't about being fake. This is about being effective. You already do this naturally. You speak differently to your grandmother than you do to your friends. You act differently in a job interview than you do at a party. You present different aspects of your personality in different situations.
Yeah, compartmentalize, right? That's that word, man. Almost got me twisted there. Compartmentalizing some shit. A whole lot of people need to learn this kind of skill, right? Compartmentalizing shit, like categorizing shit, like putting things in like where they belong and keeping them there, because, you know, some aspects of some people's lives bleed onto other aspects where it's like, oh shit, wait, hold on, we at work, bruh. Like, you don't have to spew out that kind of information here over, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, and like emotional things at, like, you know what I mean, business engagements and things like that. I mean, people do it all the time, but it's like, yeah, I guess, you know, those kind of people just missed the plot a long time ago, and then it's like, yo, that became the new normal. It's crazy.
Adaptive persona takes this natural tendency and makes it intentional. Every person you meet has different values, different communication styles, and different ways of processing information. If you use the same approach with everyone, you'll connect with some people and completely miss others. Smart people study the person they're talking to and adjust their communication accordingly.
I'd even add psychoanalyzing the shit out of it. You know what I'm saying? Psychoanalyze the people. Analyze their psyche.
Are they analytical? Give them facts and data. Are they emotional? Connect with their feelings. Are they practical?
Do your homework.
Show them how something works. Are they big picture thinkers? Paint the vision. This isn't manipulation.
What is it?
This is communication intelligence.
Oh, right, yeah.
Think about water. Water takes the shape of whatever container it's in, but it never loses its essential properties.
Oh, that's that, the Bruce Lee saying? Be like water.
It's still water whether it's in a cup, a bottle, or a lake. Your adaptive persona works the same way. You adjust your presentation to fit the situation, but you never lose your core values and principles. The mistake most people make is thinking they need to be authentic in the same way with everyone. But authenticity doesn't mean being identical in every situation.
Right.
It means being genuinely yourself while adapting your expression to be most effective. When you master adaptive persona, you become someone who can connect with anyone. People feel understood.
Oh, you know they hate that. You know they don't mess with that. Being multiple-faced, not just two-faced, multiple-faced. Come on, man. Hey, look. I want you to understand. I think I'm gonna have to continue, you know, putting this disclaimer out as we move, because you might misconstrue what I say. Information here may be generic, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's AI generated, man. Come on. What do you expect? Obviously it's gonna be like generic shit that you've heard before, la la la, this, then the third. But yo, it's like there's a tasteful and a distasteful way of doing things. You understand what I'm saying? So don't get me wrong. Don't you know, think I'm instigating some bullshit. It's like, yo, there's a constructive way of doing some you know, some degenerate shit too. You know, a little bit. Just apply a little balance to that shit. Just to remind yourself, yo, I am still that degenerate motherfucker that you don't want to mess with. Watch out. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying use that language for everybody, but for the ops. People that break in your house and try to threaten your life. What I did there? The point that I'm trying to make is that, yo, you can use this for, you know, constructive reasons. Understand what I'm saying? Shit, wait. Let me try to play it again. Because I think I kind of like missed my point there.
When to be most effective. When you master adaptive persona.
Oh yeah. The whole multiple personalities, right? The whole switching faces and changing masks and shit like that. They don't like that shit, right? People might hate you for it. But as I said, bro, this kind of thing actually might even help you to maintain the compartments that you wanna, you know, maintain. Like keeping things where they need to be. We're not laughing here. We're not laughing. It's a quickie, right? I'm not here for no foreplay, none of that. You know? Don't be telling me to go down. No. By the time I get there, it's supposed to be like nice and moist. I bet.
You become someone who can connect with anyone. People feel understood when they're with you because you're speaking their language.
Yep.
This skill becomes incredibly powerful in negotiations, leadership situations, and building relationships. You're not trying to force people to understand you. You're making it easy for them to connect with you. But here's the warning. Never adapt so much that you lose yourself.
Nice.
Your values, your integrity, your core principles should never change.
Never.
Only your presentation should adapt. The strongest people are like diamonds. They have many facets, but they're still one solid stone.
Nice.
Number 3, the principle of detachment.
Attachment.
You're not
See what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, yo, with detachment, bro, like my whole idea and theory, like around even detachment, bro. You find people, obviously, right? You know, you hear stories that, yo, somebody develops this detached kind of character about they persona based off of, you know, being neglected as a kid, as a child, right? And so therefore they never got that opportunity to connect with somebody, connect with their caregivers, because they were, you know, constantly neglected. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like they've developed the mental you know, or psychological, just yeah, energy just of never attaching, right? Never attaching, at least authentically. You know what I mean? But then now it's like in situations where you need the least to no detachment, like shit, bro, like you can run the game there, like, you know what I'm saying? You're like a pro. You know what I mean? You give the tutorials and shit like that on how to, you feel what I mean? Because there are those kind of things where it's like, yeah, when you're engaging with enemies, I know y'all have heard the saying, keep your enemies, friends close, enemies closer. But then when you're dealing with those enemies, you know, using, like, applying detachment is what you need, bro. Like, come on. Because even with that kind of, with detachment, you can even spot things that are you know, like false intentions, so to speak, because you kind of have that front of something that's not real. You know what I mean? Maybe emotional connection, maybe, I don't know, business wise, whatever. But like there's something, it's sort of like bait, right? That kind of just keeps you at a distance, but you know really what you're checking out for. You know what I'm saying? Their true intentions, man. You hear me? Then once you've got the data that you got, then you can move accordingly. You feel me? But that sort of quality kind of like, it kind of teaches you how to move, like in certain environments. I mean, it's like you need it. It's not all bad. Is my point, right?
A slave to any relationship, emotion, or opinion. What you're not afraid to lose can't control you. What can't bind you can't manipulate you either. Machiavelli once said, "Since love and fear can hardly exist together, if we must choose between them, it is far safer to be feared than loved." Detachment is probably the most misunderstood concept in dark intelligence. People think it means being cold or uncaring. It doesn't. It means being free. Most people are controlled by their attachments. They're afraid to lose their job, so they accept bad treatment. They're afraid to lose a relationship, so they compromise their values. They're afraid to lose approval, so they say what people want to hear instead of what needs to be said. Fear of loss makes you weak. Freedom from that fear makes you powerful. This doesn't mean you shouldn't care about anything. It means you shouldn't be desperate about anything. Imagine this. Two people are negotiating a business deal. Person A really needs this deal to work out. They're counting on it. They've already made plans based on it happening. Person B would like the deal to work out, but they have other options. They're willing to walk away if the terms aren't right.
That's that example I was telling y'all about, right? The fact that, yo, you have this intention of studying something further. So, you know what I'm saying? You have this sort of bait that you kind of like your initial bet, you know what I'm saying? But then you know there's more where that came from. You know, you're willing to lose this. This is just like a lab rat to just, yeah, scope out the scenario. Like I can walk away from the, you know, from this anytime. Like that, at least that's how I'm getting it, right?
Who do you think has more power in that negotiation? Person B, obviously, because they're not attached to the outcome. They can negotiate from strength. Detachment gives you clarity. When you're not emotionally invested in being right,
gives you clarity. Come on, man.
You can see situations more clearly. When you're not desperate for approval, you can make better decisions. When you're not afraid of being alone, you can choose better relationships. The paradox is this: the less you need something, the more likely you are to get it. Think about confident people. They're not confident because everything always goes their way. They're confident because they know they'll be okay, even if things don't go their way. That's the power of detachment. Now, this doesn't mean being careless or indifferent. You should still work hard for your goals and care about the people in your life. But you should never be so attached to any outcome that you lose your ability to think clearly and act strategically.
Find the stuff that be clouding your judgment, your sane judgment. Doesn't this remind you of addiction? Anybody? No? Nothing?
Detachment also protects you from manipulation. When someone tries to threaten you with taking away something you're not afraid to lose, their threat has no power.
Yep.
The most dangerous person in any room is the one who has nothing to lose. But the most powerful person in any room is the one who has everything to gain and nothing to fear. Practice this gradually.
What?
Start with small things. Don't be so attached to winning every argument. Don't be so attached to being liked by everyone.
That's right.
Don't be so attached to your plans working out exactly as you were.
Oh, now you're pissing them off, see? Now you're fucking them up in the brain. Don't be so attached to the plans, that you lay out for yourself exactly as you imagine. You know what I'm saying? Well, because one would argue, then what's the point of me making the plan if I'm not gonna, make sure that I see it through? You feel me? Like, that whole get rich or die trying. I'ma die trying. Remember that?
Imagined. As you develop this skill, you'll notice something interesting.
What's that?
People start treating you with more respect. They sense that you can't be easily controlled, and that commands respect. Remember, detachment isn't about not caring.
What's it about?
It's about caring without being controlled by that care. Number 4, silent leverage. You don't apply pressure directly, you wait. When people make mistakes and become vulnerable, your silent presence becomes the heaviest influence in the room. Machiavelli once said, "Never was anything great achieved without danger." Most people think power is loud. They think it's about raising your voice, making demands, and forcing your will on others. That's
wrong.
amateur hour. Real power whispers. Silent leverage is the art of creating influence without saying a word.
I see.
It's about positioning yourself so that your mere presence changes the dynamic of any situation. Here's how it works. Instead of telling people what to do, you create situations where they naturally want to do what benefits you. Instead of demanding respect, you make yourself indispensable. Instead of fighting for power, you make people give it to you willingly. Let's break this down.
Wait, isn't there aura or some shit like that? Right? Wait, isn't that aura? Am I tripping? Like the whole, magnetism that somebody can have in their personality and shit like that. Aren't people referring to your aura or some shit like that? Hold on. Y'all know my friendly AI compadre.
Hi there, Sizway.
Hi. What is aura? What is somebody's aura? When we talk about aura, what do we mean?
An aura generally refers to a subtle field of energy believed to surround a person. In many spiritual or metaphysical traditions, it's thought to reflect a person's mood, emotions, or general state of being. People often describe it as a kind of colorful glow that can be sensed or seen around a person.
Okay, let's say you can command a room or control a group of people without being loud or without, coercion, or, physical, I don't know, verbal demands or whatever. Would you say, being able to control people without all of that, it's actually, the function of your aura?
Yeah, it's actually often considered a reflection of the presence or confidence you project. It's about the energy and the kind of presence you bring into a room that can influence people naturally without needing to be loud or forceful.
Nah, I still don't understand what the fuck aura is, bro. Don't lie.
With practical
But I think
examples,
it might be that, right? Hold on.
indispensable. Instead of fighting for power, you make people give it to you willingly. Let's break.
Alright, that's fucking manipulation, thank you. Hey, I'm saying, sometimes you need to do these things to, like, remain ahead. I don't know. Hey, it depends on your moral campus, bro.
Break this down with practical
don't get me funny,
examples.
please.
In conversations, silent leverage means knowing when to pause.
Yeah.
Most people are uncomfortable with silence, so they fill it with words. Often those words reveal more than they intended to share. When you're
'cause they
comfortable
get the
with
yapping.
silence,
Because they get the yapping and, leaking sensitive information and shit like that.
you control the rhythm of the conversation. Next time someone asks you a difficult question, don't answer immediately. Pause. Look at them thoughtfully. Let the silence stretch for a few seconds. Then give your answer. Watch how it changes the weight of your response.
Right.
In negotiations, silent leverage means having alternatives that you don't need to mention. When the other person knows you have options, they negotiate differently. You don't have to threaten to walk away.
Damn.
Your willingness to walk away is enough.
Yeah.
In relationships,
Especially for people who, let's say, probably, within this deal that we made, like that's your everything, right? And actually, you was trying to show me the size of your penis, pause, right? You was trying to show me the size of your balls. You were like, yeah, let's, trying to flex or whatever. And then I take out, like, I take out the same value as you've put on the table, right? I put out the same value, and then to me, for me, it's just I ain't sweat shit. You know what I mean? But I'm not finna let you know, right?
silent leverage means being the person who adds.
And the fact that I can walk away from this deal, from this engagement, obviously, you know what I'm saying? That on its own can reveal that, my balls were bigger. You know what I'm saying? For lack of a better term. You feel me? And so therefore that might make you nervous.
Value without asking for recognition. When you consistently make other people's lives better, they naturally want to keep you around. You don't have to demand loyalty, you earn it through your actions. In professional settings, silent.
And yes, another disclaimer. As I told you, I needed to fill this bitch up with some disclaimers. Another disclaimer. Yo, this is one of the most performative, characters that you can adopt of all time. You feel me? The whole trying to control things, trying to control people, the power. Yeah, power. That's a performative art. I know y'all hear this word thrown around casually, but like this, I mean it. But like, you're not yourself here, bro. It's like, yo, let's be real about this shit. You're not yourself trying to, be this whole, like all the way down to, ideology like the red pill. You know what I'm saying? Even just like the dating man, like all the way down to the dating man. The dating man is performative as fuck. Everybody's performative. Now this one, I feel like this one, this one is up there because now we talking about it does involve mind control, manipulation. Okay, a whole lot of performative realities, experiences. Yeah, nah, I don't know. But real life performative habits, IRL. right? It's like all of those, they have these toxic swings on them. Like they involve like manipulation, mind control, you know, inauthenticity, like not being yourself fully. You feel what I'm saying? Detachment. They all have these things, bro, if you ask me. So just so we're on the same page, I had to just like point that out to be like, yeah, it's not all the way positive what we're breaking down here, but you know, we're just trying to see what we can take out of it. Facts.
Leverage means becoming the person everyone comes to for solutions.
Yep.
You don't announce that you're the problem solver.
No, never.
You just solve problems consistently until everyone knows they can count on you.
They'll do it.
The key to silent leverage is patience. You're not looking for immediate results. You're building long-term influence. Most people want instant gratification.
Nice.
They want to see immediate results from their efforts. But silent leverage works differently. You plant seeds and wait for them to grow. You make investments and wait for them to pay dividends.
Nice.
This requires a different mindset.
It does.
You have to be comfortable with delayed gratification. You have to
now you're driving them crazy. Hold on, bro. Now you're fucking them up, bro. I told you, bro. Don't be telling them these things, bro. They might crash out, bro. They might. Yo, no. Delay your gratification. Oh my god. For the sake of just like world peace, I hope no Gen Z is watching this. But then at the same time, if you are a Gen Z that's trying to use this to better yourself, okay, now we're talking, right? Now it's like, of which I think it might just be a small percentage of people. That's why it's like, for what it's worth, it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, give the people what they want. But yo, if you are here to better your life, yes. Delayed gratification, it's an unpopular, you know what I'm saying, train of just like decision making, right? Especially among young men, bro. This, you know, this might yield beautiful results, I'm telling you. And I'm talking from experience too. You feel me? So, but hey, for what it's worth, man, yo, you're driving them crazy, bro. Relax. You're crashing out.
trust that your consistent actions will eventually create the influence you're seeking.
Yep.
What happens when you master silent leverage?
Okay.
People start coming to you for advice without you offering it.
Become the guru?
They start seeking your approval without you demanding it. They start following your lead without you asking them to. You become the quiet force that shapes outcomes without anyone realizing it's happening.
Beautiful.
But there's an important ethical consideration here.
What's that?
Silent leverage should never be used to manipulate people into doing things that harm them.
Oh yeah, exactly.
The goal is to create win-win situations where everyone benefits.
It's okay.
The-
But like now, yeah, think about like the selfishness of the world these days, bro. Think how much of a percentage of people are just like, you know what I'm saying, doing things for a win-win situation, especially in this world of capitalism. Excuse me?
The most ethical use of silent leverage is to influence people toward better decisions for themselves and others. You're not tricking them. You're guiding them toward outcomes that serve everyone's best interests.
I see.
Remember, silent leverage is not passive. You're still taking action. You're still making moves. You're just doing it quietly and strategically,
Okay, cool.
instead of loudly and obviously.
Yeah.
Number 5. Psychological echo. You reflect people's deepest needs and fears back to them. They think you're speaking their language. But actually, you're gaining understanding and influence. Machiavelli once said, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by..."
Wait, is that when you can tell them what they trying to, you know, like what drink flavor they trying to pick before they even pick it? You know, like the whole So you become a mind reader. You can read their minds, like type shit, right?
By the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few really know what you are. Psychological echo is about becoming a mirror that reflects back what people need to see and hear.
Oh shit, but that one can like, I feel like that one can be too much of a burden, bro. Especially like if you literally don't know what you're getting yourself into, right? Because there's things like, you know, when I hear something like this, I think of method acting, right? Because to be able to mirror to me this character in the way, you know what I'm saying, in the way that even the viewer viewing you playing this character can be like, yo, yeah, nah, you know, when XYZ was playing this character, yo, he really spoke my language, so to speak, right? It's like that you have to adopt that psychology, that persona of that character, so much so that you take it home, right, and things like that, to mirror it perfectly. Now we talking about you becoming this powerful person, you know, and applying this kind of principle would mean you have to do that method acting type of method, but like with multiple people. Yeah, yo, that's fucking heavy, bro. That's heavy, bro. Because like now I'm thinking all that energy, bro, from people that you gotta tolerate, right? That you gotta like adopt as your own. No, not really as your own, but like you gotta like have this sort of like tolerance level for it, like to put it on your shoulders, you know what I mean? Like every time be open to this person so that you can study whatever you need to study, observe whatever you need to observe about this person, like, you know, capture that and then, you know, embody that. That's work. I don't know if y'all remember that movie Split, right? I think it speaks on some sort of mental condition or psychological condition that is developed, known as DID, from people, you know, it's like multiple personas and shit like that. But it's like to a T, bro. Like nigga literally had I mean, he looked middle aged, I think. You know what I'm saying? And then he would literally transform into a little child, bro. I'm talking about a toddler. Cry, do the voice inflections, everything to the T, bro. Like, as in, you would think that this is a kid. Like, even the motions, the mannerisms, everything, bro. And then switch up and becomes this, you know, 55-year-old Karen who's just like, you know what I'm saying? So like that kind of, but what they were explaining in that movie, like the kind of implication there was the fact that, you know, this comes from a damaged sort of mind, saying like trauma, you know, trauma induced kind of states of being in there, right? So now with that kind of knowledge, it's like you have to have this kind of trauma, right? This kind of experience that can make you able to tap into, you know, things in that way, like people's personas in that way, and make them your own and things like that. You feel me? So I don't know, again, bro, like, and to me that gives zombie vibes. Again, it gives like NPC vibes. It's like you taking the, you know, the character and the mind of another man and, you know, putting it inside you and, you know, projecting that. It's like, do we really need to control people that bad? Do we really need power that bad, right?
This isn't about deception.
What's it about?
It's about deep understanding and strategic communication.
Right.
People don't buy products, services, or ideas. They buy solutions to their problems and fulfillment of their desires.
Nice.
When you can identify and reflect back their real needs, you become incredibly valuable to them. Most people are terrible at this because they're too focused on what they want to say instead of what the other person needs to hear. Let me explain how psychological echo works in practice.
Explain that.
First, you have to become a student of human nature. You need to understand that everyone you meet is carrying invisible burdens, secret.
Well, it's not an imaginary thing. It's actually a real thing, though, right? Everybody is carrying that, those unique burdens and shit like that. Okay,
desires and unspoken fears.
Yeah.
Your job is to listen for clues about what those might be. When someone talks about their work, they're not just sharing information. They're revealing how they see themselves, what they value, and what they're worried about. When someone talks about their relationships, they're showing you their emotional patterns and their deepest needs.
Yeah.
Most people listen to respond. You need to listen to understand.
Cool.
Here's a practical
Study nature. I think, yeah.
framework. Every person you meet is asking 3 silent questions.
What's that?
Do you see me? Do you understand me? Do you value me? When you can answer yes to all 3 of those questions through your words and actions, you create a powerful connection. The psychological echo technique involves reflecting back not just what.
Hey, but I'm not gonna lie, bro. Shout out to Illuminati. He came out with a video where the theme of the video was protect your gaze, right? So I feel like it's really important what you allow yourself to see at the end of the day, though. You know what I'm saying? If we gonna try and do this thing from a point of being at least not a sane mind, because insane people can adopt these principles as their own, right? Not from a sane mind, but from a place of understanding yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna just wanna let yourself perceive or see into like just any rubbish out there. It's full of rubbish, especially these days, 2026 moving forward. We talking whatever is online, all the slop, all the, you know what I'm saying? And with even people that are, again, NPCs. You feel me? Yes, these might happen in terms of interpersonal relationships, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm trying to see into this person's thing, and listening for these kind of things. Do you see me? Do you value me? Right? Within the conversation that you're having with people, but it's like, I don't want to see just anything, though. I want to protect my gaze too at the same time. It's like, it's a whole lot of rubbish, and it's like, oh shit, this is all there is to your life, type thing, right? Like when you're having a conversation with somebody, like, don't you get to the point where it's like, yo, dog, like, this is all, because at the same time it's like you be hearing the same kind of slop out of people. I'm sorry, like, shit that's not constructive, at least intellectually, subjectively speaking, right? Because that's what I value. You know what I'm saying? Intellectual, I think, sharpening, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like, okay, for the most part in my life, how I get a lot of that value is online, right? But then again, acknowledging the fact that there is a whole lot of slop. Sometimes, yes, I do get depressed, just like scrolling, trying to get some shit that I can connect with, like, for real, because of what I value, that intellectual just sharpening of the mind. You understand what I'm saying?
What people say, but what they mean. You listen for the emotion behind the words, the need behind the complaint, the fear behind the anger. For example, if someone says, "I hate my job," most people might respond with advice about finding a new job.
Oh, yeah.
But if you listen deeper, you might hear that they actually feel unappreciated, unchallenged, or uncertain about their future.
And paid and shit.
A psychological echo response might be, "It sounds like you're not feeling valued for your contributions," or "It seems like you're ready for something that..."
Nah, but I'm not gonna lie, most of the time it's, it has to do with finances. I'm trying to make these motherfuckers pay me more, like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? I'm out here busting my ass, like.
Challenges you more. Notice the difference? Instead of jumping to solutions, you're reflecting back their emotional experience.
Okay.
This makes people feel understood, which creates trust and influence. The key is to reflect back the positive version of what they're expressing. If someone is complaining about being overwhelmed, you might reflect back their dedication and high standards. If someone is expressing frustration about a situation, you might reflect back their desire for excellence. This technique works because people have a deep psychological need to feel understood. When you demonstrate that you truly see them, they automatically trust you more and value your opinions more highly. But here's where it gets really powerful. Once you understand someone's core needs and fears, you can position your ideas, suggestions, and requests in terms that naturally appeal to them.
Yeah, and before we continue from the points and values that appeal to them, word from our sponsor, ladies and gentlemen.
The demon's grin is no temptation too tall, so it's forever. Yeah, imagination that shifted realities till paradigms shift into shades you ain't never seen. Was once excited for all this, now I ain't trying to be seen. Forever. Cause this mind is straight chatter, but I can barely say something. Feel like shit don't matter, so beware the fun cutting. It's volumes of demise. I hear the sound buzzing, so when she said she wanna die, and he sees she ain't bluffing, so he held her to the skies. Cries, sour momentum, passive with goodbyes. I'd rather you tell him, but now the truth is I've digressed from all the feelings, so it's forever though. Like my mama's son missing, ain't no telling, do they love or did they kill him? The dominoes have fallen, we can't go back to beginning. This existential crisis, the reason I cannot keep competing and keep on living. So it's back against the world, seeing all your value once you dealt with all the dirt. Backing up slowly from these diamonds and pearls, quote unquote. Fat lady sings, I see the writing on the walls. Back to the sin, cause it was pride before the fall, and now it's just over. Back to the sin, cause it was pride before the fall, and now the demon's grin is no temptation too tall, so it's forever. Yeah, imagination that shifted reality.
Alright, boys, there you have it. Hey, never say I ain't looked out for y'all, right? 8 ruthless, I'd say 8 lessons, right, that make you ruthlessly dangerous. These are 8 tools right here, right? By the Machiavellian, library of secrets. You know, I know it's an AI generating information kind of channel, but hey, it might make sense. Stick around, right?
Imagination that shifted realities till paradigms shift into shades you ain't never seen. Was once excited for all this, now I ain't trying to be seen. Forever. Cause this mind is straight chatter, but I can barely say something. Feel like shit don't matter, so beware the fun cutting. It's volumes of the.
Alright, back at it. Let's get it.
If someone values security, you present your ideas in terms of safety and stability. If someone values recognition...
Oh shit, yeah, before we proceed, man, I gotta introduce the part 2 too. You know what I'm saying? We gotta do this in segments, man. I realize people got a small digestive system. You know, I gotta take it easy. I cannot give the whole reaction like that, right? So the live is just so that we can kick it and see that, you know, everybody's all cool and straight and still lovely, still healthy, still safe. That's what the live is for. But then straight after the live is up, I need to unlist that motherfucker, and then I'll just chop it up as VODs, right? As little segments of the videos, and that's why I do what I do. That's why you get the word from the sponsor. That's why you get the black screen. That's why you get the part 2, right? So part 2, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at 8 ruthless lessons that make you dangerously smart. Machiavelli, The channel is dark psychology coded. Yeah, let's get it.
You present your ideas in terms of achievement
Why?
and acknowledgement.
Tell me why.
If someone values freedom, you present your ideas in terms of independence and choice.
Nice.
You're not changing your message. You're changing how you present your message to match their psychological profile.
Cool.
This is incredibly powerful in leadership, sales, parenting, and relationships. When people feel like you understand them at a deep level, they naturally want to work with you, follow you, and support you.
Oh, snap. And I think that's one of the qualities that the leaders of old had. You know what I'm saying? When you're looking at people like Jesus Christ and them, they didn't even you know, lead people through coercion and things like that. Like, he didn't even force people. People wanted to give it up. Pause. Like, that's it, that's all, right?
The ethical way
People like, yeah, like the leaders of old, bro, like Buddha, you feel me? The known ones.
to use psychological eco is to genuinely care about understanding people and helping them get what they need. When you use this technique to serve others' best interests, it becomes a tool for building stronger, more meaningful relationships.
Right.
Number 6, ambiguous morality. You're neither good nor bad. You just get things done. Real power doesn't always come in black and white. Sometimes it lives in the gray areas. Machiavelli once said, "Since it is difficult to join them together, it is safer to be feared than to be loved when one of the two must be lacking."
Right.
This is the most controversial trait of dark intelligence, and it's the one that gets misunderstood the most.
Why?
So let me be very clear about what this means and what it doesn't mean.
Need that.
Ambiguous morality doesn't mean having no morals. It doesn't mean doing whatever you want, regardless of consequences. It doesn't mean hurting people to get ahead. What it means is understanding that the real world is complicated.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Oh shit, you know what thought just hit my head? Because of that. Chat. Right? Chat. Like the chat, like from live streams and shit like that. Chat is like the most ambiguous motherfucker on planet Earth, bro. You know what I'm saying? And love to chat. Like, all love to chat. Saying all love to that entity. It's an entity. It's a mind of its own, but it's like it's a mind that can never make up its mind. It's a confusing mind, because if you take chat seriously, you gotta think, bro. Chat is individual people. You got people that love you there. You got people that hate you there. You got people that, you know what I'm saying, that like that don't know what this is about. They probably just hear, maybe, you know, you've been covering a hot topic as of late, and they just want to keep hearing about this topic, and you're one of the creators they just bump into as per searching for the topic, you know what I'm saying, and you just happen to be live, you know what I'm saying, they found it from your stream title or whatever. They're like, yo, let me click into this stream, you know what I mean? Your mods got the titling right and everything like that. You attracted those people. They don't got like no love, no hate for you. They just here for what you gotta say, right? You got a whole bunch of people in chat. So chat, when we're like, yo, chat, what's up? It's not like you talking to one person. Even when you're like asking chat something, yo, chat, is this a good idea or is this a bad idea? Right? It's like you'll have a bunch of people that will say, you know, it's good or it's bad. But then again, you gotta think, people go according to the majority of what the consensus, basically the consensus of whatever the creator is, you know, engaging chat into. And, you know, whatever consensus people are like, yo, this is what we decide. There might be people that speak against that kind of decision, that kind of consensus in there, right? There might be people that feel differently. But right, chat is the same thing as people in the world. There's all type of people, bro. You just like, you know, I just feel hurt. Well, I feel sad for the people that end up taking it so seriously that they end up listening to the you know, the toxic people to a point where they delete themselves because of what chat said. But if you think about chat, it's not really one thing. You feel me? So I feel like being that kind of chameleon, bro, changing those colors as per like you know, your understanding of what this is. It's not just, you know, one mental, like mental train, right? Train of thought or whatever. So one day you might want to tap into like the ignorant parts of chat, you know, the people that are just here to be ignorant. The next day you might just like fall into the rabbit hole of the rage baiting that the trolls in chat can like have you on. Understand what I'm saying? Some other days you might be feeling mentally like tough and wise, and you block out those, you know, those naysaying parts of chat, and you just focus on the ones that are like giving you positive energy, because all those energies are constantly there though. That's the thing about it. You know what I mean? So I feel like, yeah, 2026 version of this is the chat conversation.
Doing the right thing in the short term leads to worse outcomes in the long term.
Ooh.
Sometimes being nice enables bad behavior.
Oh shit, talk about
Sometimes protecting people requires making decisions that aren't pretty.
it. Yep.
Here's the reality.
Where is it?
Pure moral clarity is a luxury that most people can't afford when they're dealing with complex situations involving real consequences.
Right.
Let me give you some examples to illustrate this concept. Imagine you're in a leadership position and you discover that a team member has been consistently lying to clients and damaging relationships.
Crazy.
The nice thing to do might be to give them another chance, provide more training, and hope they improve.
Yeah.
But what about the other team members who are working honestly?
You see, they're enabled. You've enabled them to think it's okay to be on the same kind of behavior. Crazy.
What about the clients who are being deceived?
Oh shit.
What about the long-term health of the organization? Someone with ambiguous morality might decide that protecting the many is more important than being nice to the one.
Yeah.
They might make the difficult decision to remove that person from the team, even though it feels harsh. This isn't cruelty. This is pragmatic ethics.
Damn.
For example, someone asks you for advice about a relationship that you can see is toxic and destructive. The kind thing to do might be to be supportive and avoid saying anything negative. But someone with ambiguous morality might decide that true kindness requires telling the difficult truth, even if it temporarily hurts the person's feelings.
Yeah.
The key principle here is focusing on outcomes rather than appearances. Sometimes the action that looks good on the surface creates bad results. Sometimes the action that looks harsh on the surface creates better results for everyone involved. This requires a different kind of moral thinking.
So making that harsh example out of the one, just to show the many, hey, don't fuck around, buddy.
Instead of asking, what action makes me look like a good person?
Right.
You ask, what action leads to the best outcomes for the most people? It also requires taking responsibility for the consequences of your decisions, even when those decisions are difficult or unpopular.
I see.
But here's the crucial distinction.
Where is it?
Ambiguous morality is not the same as selfishness. You're not doing whatever benefits you at others' expense. You're making pragmatic decisions that serve the greater good, even when those decisions are personally difficult.
Yeah.
This trait also involves understanding that different situations require different responses.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie. Wait, why does this guy look like a 78-year-old version of XQC? That's crazy. No, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like this kind of decision, you know, these kind of experiences explained right here, these are the kind of experiences, you know, that like bosses, like founders, you know what I'm saying? People that work with a lot of people in terms of, you know, hiring a lot of people, having to fire some people, things like that. You know what I mean? These are the kind of things that they go through. You know what I mean?
The same action that's wrong in one context might be necessary in another context. For example, being completely honest might be the right approach in a close personal relationship, but it might be counterproductive in certain professional negotiations where strategic disclosure is more effective. Someone with ambiguous morality understands these nuances and adapts their approach accordingly. The danger of this trait is that it can be used to justify selfish or harmful behavior. That's why it's crucial to maintain clear ethical guidelines about what you will and won't do, even in complex situations. My recommendation is to establish clear boundaries for yourself. What are your non-negotiable values? What lines will you never cross? What outcomes are you willing to accept responsibility for? Within those boundaries, give yourself...
You see now, boys? Now, asking these kind of questions to yourself, we're now developing into being principled men. Right?
Permission to be pragmatic and strategic, even when it means making decisions that others might not understand or approve of.
Of course.
Remember, the goal is not to be liked by everyone. The goal is to be effective and ethical in a complex world where simple answers don't always work. Number 7, controlled exposure. You don't reveal everything about yourself. The less people know, the more they assume. And assumptions lead to mistakes that make your strategy easier. Machiavelli once said, "Men are so simple of mind and so much dominated by their immediate needs that a deceitful person will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived." In a world where people share every detail of their lives on social media, controlled exposure might seem outdated, but it's actually more powerful than ever. When everyone is oversharing, the person who shares strategically stands out. When everyone is broadcasting their thoughts and feelings, the person who keeps some mystery becomes intriguing. Controlled exposure is about being intentional with your personal information. It's about understanding that not everyone needs to know everything about you, and that selective sharing can actually strengthen your relationships and increase your influence. Let's start with the psychology behind this. Humans are naturally curious creatures. When we encounter something incomplete or mysterious, our brains automatically try to fill in the gaps. This is called the curiosity gap, and it's one of the most powerful psychological forces in human behavior.
Why?
When you practice controlled exposure, you create curiosity gaps that make people more interested in you and more attentive to what you do share.
But now, the one risk, though, that I would associate with, people's curiosity gaps about you is that, that gap might be filled in by information that's just like so alienating, right? So destructive, to a point where those people might be so sure that, whatever they filled into those curiosity gaps might actually be detrimental to your image, to your reputation, all of that. You understand what I'm saying? So you might have people, depending on what you use to, create that mystery and retain that mystery. You know what I'm saying? That sense of mystery in people's minds. It's like whatever you use, your methods of just like, constructing that kind of image for yourself. That's what's gonna determine like how people fill in those gaps. I think I did make sense there, because an example that I was thinking about right now is that David artist, right? The one who was associated with that girl whose lifeless body was found inside of this Tesla that was allegedly David's. I don't know if these things are confirmed now. It was just it was a long ass story. But yeah, I'm thinking of him. The thing is with him, right? Like he actually has this like crazy story about how he became artist. He was like one of the biggest artists in terms of his numbers, that is. One of the biggest artists to like, do the genre that he was doing and the way that he was doing it and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Just like the little niche that he had created for himself. Like, he was one of the biggest, and he was running that shit like solidly, bro. And it again, it was reflected in the business, in the numbers, until, you know what I'm saying, until that whole thing, you know, with all that incriminating information, and just like, you know, that whole toxic scenario, and, you know, until all of that was attached to his name, bruh. Now, and obviously, you know, he was the artist, you know what I'm saying, does his thing. And then I think he had a closer relationship with his, again, chat, his community, and things like that. But for the most part, bro, it was a mysterious guy, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I didn't even know about him until recently with this whole thing. Like, I think he reached even the billions of streams, you know what I mean? Independently too, right? So I think he reached that. But then now, I never knew of him, even with that. So, you know, some sort of mystery was there about this artist. And even right now, like, with what's going on, hasn't said a thing. I don't think his legal team came out with any, you know, any new information about it. So, like, the whole mystery around him is now tainted, like, terribly, right? Because of the situation that has befallen him. You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes, like, people can fill in, and people were filling in gaps. Obviously, there were hit pieces, content pieces online going around, like, you know, he really did do this or whatever, you know, without any solid evidence, without any, you know, official judgment from, you know, the legal fraternities or whatever. You know, people were filling in gaps. Now, I'm just saying, like, yo, this is where I eject myself out of that David situation, right? That was just a silly example. But now I'm talking in general. What if, like, maybe, you know, some crazy shit happens around you, and you're this mysterious person, and then people fill in, like, crazy gaps, like crazy information in the gaps. You know what I mean? Whereas maybe, let's say you're probably innocent, or you probably have nothing to do with whatever gaps they're trying to fill, or, you know, you it's completely unrelated to the truth or reality. You know what I'm saying? Like what are we doing? I feel like at that point we are counteracting what we try, like our intention at that point, right? It's like we adding more poison to our food.
Think about the most captivating people you know.
Why?
They probably don't tell you everything.
Yeah.
They share enough to keep you engaged, but they leave you wanting to know more. This isn't accidental. It's strategic. Now, let's talk about practical applications.
Let's talk about it.
In professional settings, controlled exposure means being selective about which ideas you share and when you share them. It means not revealing all your capabilities at once. It means keeping some of your knowledge in reserve so you can provide value when it's most needed. For example, instead of showing all your skills in the first week of a new job, you might reveal them gradually over time.
Yeah, but you see, now in a market where, when we talking job markets and shit like that, you're trying to show your good side, at least initially, so that, you know what I'm saying, they don't get rid of your ass. Like, you gotta show 100% capacity. You feel me? And then I feel like over time it listens because nobody really gives a fuck, right? It's just like to prove your positioning long-term wise, I guess.
Creates the impression that you're continuously growing and improving, rather than someone who peaked early. In social situations, controlled exposure means not telling your entire life story to everyone you meet. It means sharing personal information gradually as relationships develop and trust is earned. This doesn't mean being secretive or dishonest.
What do you mean?
It means being selective and strategic about what you reveal and to whom. In negotiations, controlled exposure means not revealing all your priorities and constraints up front. It means keeping some information in reserve so you can use it strategically as the negotiation develops.
Nice.
The key principle is this: information revealed can never be unrevealed. Once people know something about you, they can't unknow it. So it's better to err on the side of revealing too little rather than too much.
Okay.
But controlled exposure goes beyond just withholding information. It's also about timing. The same piece of information can have completely different impacts depending on when it's revealed.
Yeah.
For example, revealing a particular skill or achievement early in a relationship might seem like bragging, but revealing the same information later when it's relevant to solving a problem makes you seem humble and helpful. Controlled exposure also involves understanding your audience.
Yeah.
Different people need to know different things about you. Your level of disclosure should match the relationship and the situation. Your closest friends and family members should know more about you than your casual acquaintances.
That's true.
Your business partners should know different things about you than your competitors. Your employees should know different things about you than your peers.
Yep, there we go. Compartmentalization. Right? Compartmentalize.
This isn't about being fake or manipulative. It's about being appropriate and strategic with your personal information.
It is.
Here's another important aspect. Controlled exposure includes managing your digital footprint. Everything you post online, every comment you make, every photo you share becomes part of your permanent record.
Yep, digital footprint.
People will form opinions about you based on this information, often without ever meeting you. Smart people are intentional about their online presence. They understand that their digital persona is part of their overall strategy for how they want to be perceived and remembered.
There we go.
The goal of controlled exposure is not to be mysterious for the sake of being mysterious.
What's it about?
The goal is to maintain control over your narrative and your relationships. When you reveal information strategically, you can guide how people perceive you. You can emphasize the aspects of your personality and experience that are most relevant to your current goals. You can avoid being pigeonholed or stereotyped based on incomplete information. But here's the balance you need to maintain.
Where is it?
You want to share enough to build genuine connections with people, but not so much that you lose
Oh shit, like, whoa, before we forget, these are actually the morals to the story. Alright, morals of the story right here.
your strategic advantage. The most successful people understand this balance. They're open and genuine in their relationships, but they're also strategic about how much they reveal and when they reveal it. Number 8, outcome obsession. You're not here to win arguments or prove points. You're here to get results. People who focus only on outcomes never waste time on unnecessary games. Machiavelli once said, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." This is the trait that separates amateurs from professionals, dreamers from achievers, and talkers from doers.
Okay, cool. Let's do
Most
it.
people get distracted by things that don't matter.
Right?
They want to be right more than they want to be effective.
Yeah, and I'd say that's more of the emotional, emotionally inclined people. You know what I mean? Where the temperament is so like it's just ready to go. You know what I mean? It's like the emotional reaction is what ends up just even clouding, logical judgment and shit like that, right? Where like, I feel like I'm right. I have to be right, and like your emotion is just controlling you to just, it's driving you towards like, no, I have to be validated as right. It's like it's not effective though. You feel me?
They want to look good more than they want to get results. They want to feel good
Yeah, but then again, it's like you have to ask yourself, what kind of result is this person looking for? You know what I mean? And that's where that psychoanalytical shit like gets helpful. It's like you can psychoanalyze somebody from just like the kind of results that they the momentum that they build their lives in terms of the decisions they make. You know what I mean? AKA the kind of results that they look for. You know what I mean? Other people can just like, it's about the quickest way for me to be noticed or validated as right. Like the shortcut. Like, what's the shortcut? Feel me? Whereas, yo, that's not the point right now. Right now it's for maybe for the team to win, dog. And we looking like a bunch of losers right now because of how you're acting, literally. Tee up, bro. Like, focus, and you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, nah, bro, no, I gotta, you know, get my point across. Like, if you're wrong, I'm right. It's like, oh god, right? But then again, now if you know the patterns of this guy or this girl or whatever, you know the kind of results that they look for. You know what I'm saying? This guy, he does have this habit of wanting to be seen and shit. So you then know when not to start this kind of shit, because you know what I'm saying, to spare yourself this kind of energy at the same time, you know? Because ain't nobody got no time for that.
About their process more than they want to achieve their goals.
Yeah.
Outcome obsession cuts through all of that noise.
Right.
When you're outcome obsessed, you ask different questions. Instead of, how can I prove I'm right? You ask, what result am I trying to achieve? Instead of, how can I look good in this situation? You ask, what actions will lead to the outcome I want?
Yeah.
This shift in thinking changes everything.
Everything?
Let's start with arguments and disagreements. Most people approach arguments like they're trying to win a debate.
Yeah.
They focus on proving their point, catching the other person in contradictions, and demonstrating their superior knowledge or logic. But outcome-obsessed people approach disagreements differently. They ask, what do I actually want to achieve from this conversation?
Right.
Maybe they want to change the other person's behavior. Maybe they want to reach a compromise. Maybe they want to gather information about the other person's perspective. Once they're clear on their desired outcome, they choose their approach accordingly.
Yeah.
Sometimes that means winning the argument, but often it means something completely different. For example, if your goal is to change someone's behavior, proving them wrong might actually backfire. People don't like being wrong, and they often become more stubborn when they feel attacked. A better approach might be...
So, but then now, if you want to prove them wrong deliberately, what does that change? What does proving them wrong change? Wait, I would conclude it changes nothing, actually, proving them wrong. It just like humbles them, right? Oh yeah, nah, it changes their arrogance. Well, that's if they're willing to learn from being proved wrong, right?
to help them reach the right conclusion on their own.
Yep.
If your goal is to maintain a good relationship while addressing a problem, being right might be less important than finding a solution that everyone can accept.
Okay.
This applies to every area of life. In professional settings, outcome obsession means focusing on what actually moves the business forward rather than what makes you look smart or important. It means choosing projects based on their impact rather than their visibility.
Yeah.
It means making decisions based on data and results rather than politics and preferences. In personal relationships, outcome obsession means focusing on the health and happiness of the relationship rather than who's right or wrong in any particular disagreement.
Nice.
It means choosing your battles based on what actually matters rather than reacting to every minor irritation. In personal development, outcome obsession means measuring your progress by actual results rather than effort or intentions. It means being honest about what's working and what isn't, even when that's uncomfortable. Here's where outcome obsession gets really powerful.
Where?
It helps you avoid the trap of looking busy without being productive. Many people confuse activity with achievement. They think that working hard automatically leads to good results. But outcome-obsessed people understand that you can work very hard on the wrong things and get nowhere.
There we go.
They're constantly asking, is this activity actually moving me toward my goal?
Yeah, that's where you even get like dumbass criminals. That's why I was like, yo, actually, if you're a dumb motherfucker and you just keep getting caught like doing stupid shit, you're not really a criminal. A criminal is somebody who's professionally like just doing this whole thing, right? But obviously it's degenerate, and it's like, yo, I feel like they're the kind of people actually to realize that you get nowhere with like degeneracy. You know what I'm saying? Because what are you gonna do with all that dirty money? You know what I mean? It's like that's when it hits them that, yo, nah, dog. This kind of activity, like, we're not achieving anything of, you know, great value here, of positive value, constructive value. You know what I mean? We're actually working towards, you know, we are attaining more burden at an appreciating rate. It's at an appreciating rate because you might, you know, the proceeds might be coming in and you're doing your thing. You're really a criminal, really a professional, you know, somebody who's just like robs and, you know, scams and all of that kind of shit, right? But then what are you gonna do with that money? It's not taxed. Once you try and put it in the system, the tax man is gonna like ask you some questions about it. You can't put it in no bank account, you know, at like great amounts. There's certain things you gotta do before you can like consider it clean and for it to be in the system as clean money. But as I said, it's a burden that you create for yourself. It's more work that you gotta create for yourself, and, you know, situation that you gotta deal with. But then that's why I'm saying, you know, you create for yourself burdens at an appreciating. No, wait, what did I mean to say? Oh, you lessening burdens at an wait, what? Creating burdens at a depreciating rate. Oh yeah, at a depreciating rate, right? Because you're creating more work for yourself to do to clean the money up, while that burden doesn't create it lessens the suffering a little bit, because, you know, you're still limited in what you can do with the proceeds of that kind of shit. So you're not free, but you still have this resource, right, that could keep you excited and keep you like, yo, at least there's some shit we can do with this. But you know.
Or am I just staying busy to avoid the more difficult but more important work?
Oh shit.
This leads to what I call strategic laziness.
Nice.
Outcome-obsessed people often appear to do less than others because they're selective about where they put their energy.
Yeah.
They focus on the 20% of activities that produce 80% of the results. They're not trying to be the hardest worker. They're trying to be the most effective worker. This also applies to learning and skill development. Instead of trying to learn everything about everything, outcome-obsessed people focus on developing the specific skills that will have the biggest impact on their goals. They ask, what's the minimum I need to learn to achieve maximum results? This isn't about being lazy or taking shortcuts. It's about being strategic and efficient. Now, here's an important warning about outcome obsession. It can become destructive if you lose sight of your values and relationships in pursuit of results.
Nice.
The healthiest approach is to be outcome obsessed within ethical boundaries.
Yeah.
Your desired outcomes should include maintaining your integrity, treating people well, and contributing positively to the world around.
I'm not gonna lie, right? This for me is kind of like a book. You know what I'm saying? This is kind of like reading a book. And I have shared before, like, that, you know, I don't really like reading books, but this is the same shit for me. You know what I'm saying? This is damn near an audiobook, no cap.
Around you. When these values are built into your definition of success, outcome obsession becomes a powerful force for good. Another key aspect of outcome obsession is the willingness to change course when something isn't working. Most people get attached to their plans and strategies, even when those plans aren't producing results. Outcome-obsessed people are attached to their goals, not their methods. If one approach isn't working, they try a different approach. If one strategy isn't effective, they develop a new strategy. They're not stubborn about how they achieve their outcomes. They're only stubborn about achieving the outcomes themselves. This flexibility makes them incredibly adaptable and resilient. When circumstances change, they adjust their approach. When new information becomes available, they update their strategy. The ultimate goal of outcome obsession is to become someone who consistently gets things done. Not someone who talks about getting things done, not someone who looks like they're getting things done, someone who actually produces results in the real world. This reputation becomes incredibly valuable over time. When people know you as someone who delivers on your commitments and achieves your goals, they start bringing you better opportunities, better partnerships, and better problems to solve. You've just learned the 8 traits of dark intelligence. But knowledge